Gillian Merchant is a partner with Thompson's Solicitors. Hello, Gillian.
Hello.
Now, you've got clients, I believe, who have contacted you who are working from home and they don't want to go back to the office.
Yeah, I mean, there's been quite a lot of requests for advice, as we've obviously the First Minister's announcement today, but kind of before that, it was quite clear that this was the line of travel. And I think there are just various concerns for individuals. I think the obvious one being, obviously the previous speaker was quite keen for hybrid working to be a means to getting back full-time in the office. But I suppose the question I would ask to that is, do we need to return, full-time to the office? And I think that there are particular cases where employers would have to be more careful than others. Perhaps where there was individuals with health concerns, or even just things like the setup of the workplace. Is the office appropriately cleanly enough? Is there enough social distancing? All of those things would have to be considered in terms of whether someone would feel safe at work, really.
What's the law around this in terms of rights of an employee to refuse to go back to the office?
I mean, most people's contract of employment will say, your place of work is X office, probably. Most people. Some are, we're seeing some new contracts now that are saying, you can be hybrid working or you can work from home. But most people's contracts will say your place of work is 1 High Street, wherever you work. And we are reverting back to a position where that is your place of work. So in terms of being asked to go back to the workplace, that's really just reverting back to what your contract was before.
Can you change your place of work? Can you request to change your place of work?
So what rights you do have is you have the right to request flexible working, and essentially hybrid working is a method of flexible working, and you can make that request to your employer. The right is only to request it, and the employer has to deal with it in a reasonable manner. That was a pretty toothless piece of legislation before. However, if you've got a situation now where people have been working full time at home for the last 2 years, it is going to be a lot more difficult for an employer to reject a flexible working application on like a hybrid basis, on like maybe a 3 days a week in the office, 2 days at home or something like that. Those challenges that previously would have been able to say, no, we're not giving you that flexible working request, will be a lot easier to get over now.
See, this is interesting. I can just imagine people driving back from the office now, 5:15, thinking, everybody in an office can request flexible working part-time at home. In terms of the employer, did you just say to me that they can turn that down? Can they turn down every request?
Well, I mean, the law just basically says that they have to deal with the request in a reasonable manner, which obviously is they've got quite a wide level of discretion. However, if you had an employer who was, for example, everyone had worked at home for the last 2 years and now they want everyone back in the office every day of the week and they reject all flexible working requests, I don't think that would be dealing with things in a reasonable manner. So I think the defences that an employer would have once had to push back on flexible working, have perhaps evaporated over the last couple of years.
All right, because the last 2 years have proved that people can work from home. That's what you're saying.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. So where do you think this is going then, hybrid working? You don't think this is a full return to work?
I don't think so. I mean, I think there are various reasons as to why it's much more successful. Hybrid working obviously reduces the cost of travelling to work, whether that be in public transport or otherwise. It reduces the time spent travelling to the office. The extra travelling time has got an impact on, people's work-life balance. And I suppose that's before you get to, any of the perhaps more concerns that people might have around, people that have been shielding and have health concerns, just the anxiety that they will have about returning to the workplace.